And please welcome, you know who. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Raw and Unscripted. I am Christopher Rausch, your host, also known as the No Excuses Coach. Thank you for tuning in at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tuesday, where we always come live on the video cast. Of course, this comes to podcast all over the world. We thank you very much. We're in 20 plus countries right now, and we are so appreciative of you guys. So wherever you're tuning in from, let me know. Send me an email, info@noexcusescoach.com. Let me know where you're checking us out from, and also let me know what subjects and what topics you want me to have shows on, because coming in 2025, I will be doing more solo shows. So right now, I do one solo show every month, but in 2025, I'm going to be doing more solo shows and less guests. So whatever topics you want me to riff on, I would love for you guys to send me an email at info@noexcusescoach.com. Sorry, I've been going since 5 o'clock this morning, going straight since 6. So appreciate you guys being here, whether you're live or on the replay. Thank you. We got Crystal Rye in the house. What's up, Crystal? Thank you so much for being here. Oops, I'm freezing up a little bit. Am I freezing up? Seems like I might be freezing up. Am I freezing up? Maybe it's just on my end. I hope not. Where am I? There am I. I just rebooted my computer and just did updates. So what's up, Crystal? Thank you for being here. Thank you guys all for being here. Again, whether you're live or on the replay. And I have some awesome news. I have been talking about my book. My book, it's justyoumandmekid.com. It's justyoumandmekid.com, all spelled out. It is my life story. It's an amazing work of art. And I know I said it was going to be out this year. I had my editor quit on me. She had family issues that came up where she had to take care of her mom due to a health reason. And so I just recently secured a publishing company and a brand new editor who I met with today for the first time. And I'm beyond excited for this to get out to you guys. It's going to be amazing. And I found out today that she really digs my voice and how I wrote it. The other editor was trying to change how I was approaching it. So this one is fully on board with how I wrote it. And then we're just doing grammatical changes on the errors and stuff like that, changing a little bit of the context a little bit. But if you want to get on the list of how you can support it, how you can get it first, go to itsjustyoumandmekid.com. You can enter your name and your email, and I will put you as a part of my newsletter. God's honest truth, I don't send out a newsletter very often. I think I've done like 3 or 4 this year. So it's not like your inbox is going to be filled up. But if you want to get this book, by all means, go there, check it out. There's a little bit of a synopsis on it. If you're new to my story, if you're new to the show, I was previously a 7th grade homeless dropout who lived in the backseat of a station wagon with 18 cats and 4 dogs, with a mother that had various psychological disorders and challenges. Me personally, I was on drugs, alcohol, cigarettes. I tried to kill myself twice. Unfortunately, I sucked at it. It's an amazing story of resiliency, of eliminating your excuses, of truly being unstoppable. For me, it was about taking imperfect action every single day. So at 18 years old, I went back and I got my GED. For those of you guys don't know what that is, that's a general equivalency diploma. So I went back and basically made up all of high school in about 3 months, I think it was, got my GED. And then my mentor said, hey, why don't you take a college class? And I said, what, are you crazy? I'm already working 3 jobs and eating ketchup sandwiches. And he says, just take one class, Chris. And so I went to a community college, and then 12 hard years later, I got my master's degree. So I went from being a 7th grade dropout to getting a master's degree. I had a successful career in corporate. I've been a life coach. I've been a motivational speaker. I've been a podcaster for over, most of that's over 20 years. So I've been helping people change their script, change their story, change their beliefs about their past, present, and their future to live a kick-ass, unstoppable life. So it's all contained within this book. It'll help you process and have self-love for yourself, have empathy for yourself. More importantly, it'll allow you the opportunity to shift your perspective about people who have wronged you in your life. So for example, my mother was not the best mother. Let's put it to you that way. There was physical abuse, spiritual abuse. I was bullied by kids at school, bullied by kids on my block. I had zero self-confidence. So this book is about changing your belief about those people in your life. And rather than having an anger and resentment and hostility towards them, I teach you how to find a way to have empathy and compassion for them, because I'll give you this little goose egg. If you look at the person that you're angry with the most and you resent the most, and you think, hey, If I was born into their situation, if I grew up in their household, if I grew up with the people around them, if I grew up in that specific time period, might I be like them? And as much as I didn't want to say yes, I did. And in that moment, with a snap of a finger, I went from being angry and resentful towards my mom, and I wound up having empathy and compassion for the little girl that she still was. And she was trying to compensate that by being angry and controlling and domineering and all those different things, and narcissist. So it allowed me to shift my perspective. So this whole book is about how you can overcome your limiting beliefs, your excuses, and your tolerations to live a kick-ass life. I encourage you again to go to itsjustyouandmekid.com. It's super simple. You put your name and your email in there, and I will put you on the list of when we get closer to that. It's going to be a little bit of a process, so I anticipate it coming out next year. But thank you for doing me the honor of that. And we got Daniel in the house. What's up, Daniel? Thank you for being here. He goes, Chris, you're the man. You are the man. I appreciate you. Recently, I was on Daniel's show, so make sure you check him out. If you're watching here on Facebook, you guys can go to his Facebook profile. He is the man. He's also called Dano TV. You can check that out. We got Barry Dunford at the house. Holy shit, talking about people I used to work with. Barry and I used to work in corporate together once upon a time. So thank you, Barry, for joining us. I appreciate you and love you, brother. This is going to be an amazing conversation. We got somebody new on the show. It's CNT. I think it says Bags. Sorry, I don't have my reading glasses on. Yeah, Bags. I think it is Boggs. Sorry, I can't tell if that's an O or an A. But thank you for being here and checking that out. If you guys have questions as this conversation is going on, feel free, if you're watching live or on the replay, to put the questions in the box, and we'll make sure that we get those answered for you. And I might be experiencing a little bit of a technical difficulty with my computer, hopefully not. But you know, technology and things happen that way. So we just roll with it. That's what it all is about, being unstoppable. And I got to tell you guys, my guest, I got the opportunity to meet in person. It's not too often I get to meet my guest in person. And so I was at a networking event, and Mr. Phenomenal, as he's known, came into the group and started speaking. And I was immediately blown away. And I don't get blown away often, but he blew me away with his story, with his energy, with his enthusiasm, with the fact of his resiliency. That's what the show is all about. The show is about resiliency. This show is about getting rid of your excuses. This show is about taking each day at a time and doing that 1% improvement, that 1% better. What can I do a little bit better today than I did yesterday? How can I take that imperfect action and continue to grow myself towards that goal that's so important to me? And so oftentimes we play the someday game. Someday when this is perfect and that's lined up, then I'll be happy. And if you know anything about life, you know that life goes like this. I'm 55 years old. It's pretty amazing how fast it goes by, and it's scary. So I encourage you, wherever it is in your life, you guys got to start taking action. So throughout this broadcast, here's my ask of you. Here's my challenge for you, is to write down 3 strategies from this conversation. 3 strategies, 3. Whether I say it, whether my guest says it, write them down. And then in the next 7 days between now and the next episode, take action on those 3 strategies. And then as you compound that interest, if you compound those actions, you will start to gain more confidence. You will start to lose your excuses and your tolerations. You will start to actually accomplish things in your life. That's what will happen. I promise you. I promise you. But if you watch this and get all stirred up and go, yeah, that was a great conversation, and you go back to the way things are or the way things were, then you will continue to get those results in your life. And what you'll ultimately end up with is a regret. And if anybody follows me on social media, a lot of my posts say #no regrets, because regrets suck. And if you want a book to read, The 5 Regrets of the Dying. The 5 Regrets of the Dying will fucking shift your life like that, because it's a hospice nurse who sits with people who are in the process of dying and passing away, and they tell her everything. And the number one regret of the dying was that they lived the life they thought they were supposed to live rather than the life they wanted to live. And can you imagine being on your deathbed and thinking back, I wish I would have taken more chances. I wish I wouldn't have stayed in that relationship that I knew sucked. I wish I wouldn't have stayed at that dead-end job. I wish I would have gone after my goals and my dreams and my natural gifts. But now it's too late. Take a moment and process that. Put that in your mindset every single day and say, you know what? Today is not the day that I'm going to sit there and rest on my excuses. Today is the day that I'm going to take that imperfect action. What's up? We got a bunch of people in the house. We got Gabe in the house. Thank you for being here. I believe you're new. Hello, folks. Thank you for being here. We got Ricochet. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. And it's Boggs. I apologize. Thank you very much for correcting that. I can see that here. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate that. We'll be checking out your YouTube station as well. And Daniel says here, he goes, thanks for holding us accountable. My pleasure, man. It's all in my heart. It's all in my heart. I hate to see people wasting their life. I hate to see it. It bugs the shit out of me because all of you guys are beautiful in your own respective way. And you have so much opportunity that you might be wasting right now. Again, playing that someday game. So surround yourself with the best people. And one of those best people is the gentleman I'm about to introduce tonight. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a trigger warning. This is going to be a very, very deep conversation at times about mental health. And we all have our mental health issues. I just got through telling you, I tried to kill myself twice when I was younger. Fortunately, I sucked at it. I still have my moments, not like that, but I saw my moments where I have self-doubt. I saw my moments where I get frustrated and disappointed in myself. And I have those moments where I have to sit there and go to people that I'm surrounded by to change my mental attitude. I have actually sought professional therapy in my life. I have a professional coach right now. I have mentors in my life who help me stay accountable to myself and stay continuing to rise to the greatness that I deserve in this life. So, thank you so much, Gabe. I appreciate that. I appreciate you so much for being here. And without any further ado, please help me in welcoming to the Raw Unscripted show, Mr. Phenomenal himself, Clarence Bowser. What's going on, brother? Thank you so much for being here tonight. Welcome to the show.
Man, what's going on, Christopher? It is a pleasure. It is a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on the show. This is Raw and Unscripted. Is that correct?
Oh, it's right there in the title, baby. That's how I roll. That's how I roll.
Okay, so I'm foreclosure. This is gonna get very it's gonna get very sentimental, and on top of that, we don't care. We're gonna expose it. I'm an open book. Literally, I got 9 books published. So yeah, I'm ready for it. Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, so my first question to you, we talked a little bit yesterday. We met in person. You just heard me kick off the show and talk about kind of what the show's all about. What do you want most for people who are watching and listening? What do you want for them most to walk away from this conversation, feeling, knowing, understanding in their heart of hearts about what they can do in their life?
The biggest thing that I could say, Chris, is just enjoying the moment. And the moment, it doesn't come often. And the thing about it is, when it comes, capture it, because it may never come again. Nobody's promised the next 5 minutes. Nobody's promised something can happen to us right now while we're on this call. There's somebody on their deathbed right now. So the moments, and you create the moments. You create them. You create them, whether they're going to be happy, bad, sad, mad, because it's not what happens to you, but it's how you respond when those things happen. I
couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Why? Let me ask you the next question. Why is that so important to you for people to walk away with? I think I know the answer, but I want people to get that from you. Why is that message so important to you?
So I'm 38 years old, and I heard you say that you attempted suicide twice and you suck at it. So
thank God.
I'm 38, and majority of my life I've spent trying to commit suicide. So not only do I suck at it, but I am horrible at it. And,
thank God.
And my sisters, my family that's on, they would say the same thing. Yeah, thank God that you suck at it, because there's something that you're meant to do. Just recently in June, I tried committing suicide. I was walking on the freeway, and my intention was to get to the highest peak, because I was walking to the 91, and I was going to jump over, or the 60. I'm sorry, it was the 60.
I know where that's at. We were talking about that last night.
Yeah, so
that's fucking high.
So why do I say it's important to enjoy the moment? I tell people this all the time. Your worst day is a blessing to me. And the reason why I say that is because I battle suicide on a regular basis. So the fact that you can sit here and tell me how bad your life is and what's going on, would you rather tell that to the person, or would you rather tell it to my corpse?
Right.
So the moment should never be taken for granted. because you might have someone in your life that you love, but you're too busy to spend time with. You might have family in your life that are begging for help and you just don't know how to help them. Give them a moment. Give them a moment to hear what's going on in their life. Give them a moment. That moment can change a person's life. I recently had somebody, uh, they were dealing with suicidal issues, and I had told them, I said, look, if you ever have a problem, as long as you have my number, you can call me at any time.
Yeah.
So this individual, he called me 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning one day, and he was just like, out of all the people to pick up, I didn't think you would be the one, but you told me, hey, if I needed to have a conversation with you, to pick up the call. He says, I'm really glad that you picked up the phone because I'm actually thinking about doing something really stupid right now. I said, bro, what part is really stupid? He says, it's either I'm going to go to jail or I'm going to commit suicide. I said, oh, wait, this is the time that okay, let me put my hat on. But before we dive into it, let's pray, because, you know, I like to bring God into the midst of it, because I'm a spiritual person in a physical form, right?
Right.
So,
I believe that.
If I don't go to God, then I'm nothing, right? But anyways, we have this conversation. Long story short, and he says, "Man, I'm so grateful that that you picked up the phone call, because I would have lost out on the remaining life of my daughter. I would have lost out on, you know, who's to say that I would have even been successful?" I said, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I deal with on a regular basis. Like, there's people I come across, yeah, they've had the suicidal ideation. They might have attempted once or twice. Again, I'm 38. Majority of my life has been suicidal. Um, and one thing I want people to understand when it comes to suicide, it's a lot bigger than what it appears to be, right?
And
So,
go deeper on that, because I think that's super important. A lot of people may not understand that. They may have people in their life that are like you, that have had those situations in their past. But go a little bit deeper on that, because I think that's important for people to understand and not to make assumptions about.
so when it comes to the subject of suicide, this right here, this is something that I really did a deep dive in. I really looked into, and suicide is the end result of everything to come, right? And that's when, so there's a few stages that people can you can prevent suicide at. So let's just say a person has a terrible breakup, and that this person that they were with, this was the person that they loved and adored the most. Well, you're still able to reach that person by letting them know that they still have the opportunity to be loved, right? So that's a mental thing. It's just, no, it's not even a mental thing. That's a heart thing. Like, oh, I'm so brokenhearted. Okay. Next is the physical. You might have been through something. For example, I've been molested quite a few times in my lifetime, and that was one of the things that led me to feeling like I was useless, I was worthless, and I was ready to just end it, because, you know, a lot of people they have these things happen to them, and they don't know who to run to, they don't know who to talk to, they don't know who to express. And then what's going on nowadays is, when these things are happening, the parents are not believing that the child is something that has happened. So the children are now believing that um, it's their fault, and, you know, whatever the case is. So you might have something physical happen, but then when you dive a little bit deeper, you have you're battling something on a spiritual level. And this, whatever it is that you're battling, you've never told nobody. You're fighting your demons on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So now it's getting harder for you to connect with people. It's getting harder for you to feel love and express love and be
Isolate.
about it. Yeah, you start isolating. But then the final stage is the mentals. When a person has checked out mentally, that's when it's really hard for you to save an individual from suicide, because you got to think about it. When a person gets down to that level of suicide, they feel like nobody loves them. They feel like they can't connect with people. They feel that God has forsaken them and turned his back on them. And most importantly, they lack self-love because
Yeah.
of whatever it was that they were going through, and whatever led them to that deep depression, that feeling worthless. There was nobody in their corner to help them. And me personally, I used to tell my family, "Hey, look, I'm feeling suicidal. Like I'm really feeling suicidal." And instead of my family saying, "Well, why?" Right, that right there, that's a very important question. But
Yeah.
it's not a question of when you're like, "Well, why are you feeling this way?" No, no, don't. You got to come at it in a gentle way, because
Sure.
you're already feeling less than. So I would bring this to my family's attention, like, "Yo, I'm really feeling suicidal." And instead of them saying, "Well, why do you feel suicidal?" It was more of a judgmental. "You shouldn't feel like this. You don't know what suicide's gonna do for how it's gonna make me feel."
Right. Yeah. The woe was me thing.
Yeah, but you didn't even ask me why I was feeling suicidal, because I've already thought about how it's gonna affect you. I've
Right.
already imagined over my casket and giving my eulogy. I've already imagined that. But if you didn't take the time out to even say, "Hey, are you okay?" and genuinely mean that, why am I going to open up?
Right.
So um, that right there is a big thing to take when it comes to suicide. Is when you know that somebody is distancing themselves, when you know that someone is is just isolated or whatever it is, it's always good to ask that question, why. But
Mm.
again, don't ask in the state of why like you're judging, but ask in the state of why like you really give a damn.
Right. It's all about seeking first to understand, then to be understood.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing, is because when in my life, what I have found is when you have a big enough why, you have a big enough how. But the important thing, like you said, is to dig deeper and say, okay, tell me about that. Help me understand where it is that you're at. Not make it about yourself, because then all of a sudden that just reaffirms that person feeling that isolation, that loneliness. Because a lot of times that's what's involved, feeling like we're different than everybody else, or there's something wrong with us, or the world would be better off without us. And the one thing I wrote down here was embarrassment and shame. Talk to us about that, because so many times people don't understand the things that we're dealing with, and the embarrassment and the shame and the guilt, or whatever different emotions that might be tied up in that. Talk to us about that, because there may be people that are watching and listening to this conversation who have mental health challenges, but are afraid to share them even with their close loved ones. I've talked to people and have had candid conversations with my coaching clients who have told me things they have never told anybody else in their life. I had one lady, a dear friend of mine now, during COVID, she hired me as her coach, and she said, and I could tell there was something that was holding her back. And I said, is there some, I said, you can feel free to tell me to buzz off. I said, but is there something from your past that you are hiding or keeping to yourself that you've never shared with anybody else? And I just had this feeling. This was probably over about maybe the sixth session. And we're doing it on Zoom. She was from Kentucky, very religious part, the good old country and everything else like that. And she stopped and she paused and she paused. And I was like, oh, I hit something. And she goes, I was victimized by somebody in my church when I was 12 years old. And now she was 69 years old at that point. And I said, you've never told anybody else? And she said, no. She goes, I've told one other person in my life. I said, does your family know? She goes, no. And I said, how has that hindered your process of self-love? And she talked about the embarrassment and the shame, and because it was the church, and the person in the church was like, God forgives you, and doing all this, bullshit. Let's just call it what it is. But in your experience, since you brought that up, how do we help people process that embarrassment and that shame and to look at it with a different perspective so that they can find strength in healing and perhaps forgiveness and empathy and self-love, like you said before?
Well, that right there is it's really hard. And depending on what time, like if you were a kid, if you're an adult, teenager, it all depends on at what time it took place that something like molestation rate took place, right? Because if it happened as a kid and you're now an adult, you're stuck with that. And there's going to be times where somebody does something, they could caress your hair, touch your arm, and you're freaking out, right? But and your partner or whoever you're with or whoever did that, they don't understand, like,
Right.
What is it? And what happens is when we keep those emotions bottled up, when we look in the mirror, the only thing that we see is that shame, that guilt, that person that was hurt. We see the younger version, or we see the version of ourselves that is hurt. For example, right. Chris, if I were to ask everybody who's watching, how many times throughout the day could you recognize everything that you do wrong? If I told you to put down a list, tell me everything that you do wrong, and I, without a shadow of a doubt, boom, that list would flood.
Oh yeah.
Now, if I said in that same breath, how many times do you recognize the things that you do good? People would struggle after 5 because they would have to think, what did I do that was good? Okay.
Such a great point.
So I have a like a little thesis. So I'm coming up with another book, and I'm not going to give any any perspective on it other than I came up with a thesis, and there's 5 steps, and nobody. I've been doing this since I was in high school back in 2000, right? I put this together, and nobody has ever been able to accomplish it. It's 5 steps. It lasts for 5 weeks, but for whatever reason, after the first week, people give up.
Wow.
And it's very simple. So the challenge that I would give out to everybody, you wanna enjoy the moment, you wanna be able to have a better life. First off, acknowledge yourself. Acknowledge that you exist, regardless of what you went through. There's nothing we can do about the past. The only thing that you can control is your activity and your attitude. My coaches tell me this all the time. The only thing you can control, you can't control tomorrow, you can't control the past, you can control right here, right now.
So true.
The challenge, this is, and if anybody would like to challenge me on this, by all means, I'm up for the challenge. But how many times? Oh, no. So the challenge is starting from this day forward, from this day till next week. Every time you see your reflection, now listen to what I'm saying. Every time you see your reflection, say hi. And when I give that little, just that little thesis, people are like, "Oh yeah, I can take that challenge. I can do it." And then and I said, "Okay, what was it that you heard me say?" Yeah, every time I look in the mirror. No.
Uh-huh.
Said every time you see your reflection. Say hi. Now the thing about your reflection, it doesn't necessarily mean you see your reflection, like you, but you might walk past somebody and they walk like you. They might have a beard like you. They might have long hair. Say hi. Say hi. When you see your reflection, like in a mirror, water, whatever it is, say hi. Now, how many times can you keep count of you saying hi to yourself? Again, most people they're gonna fall short of that within the first week.
It's so true. And what you're talking about, I want to cut you off right there, but what you're talking about is perspective. And what you're talking about is what I tell people is where your focus goes, energy flows. So like exactly to your point, if you wake up today and you go, oh my God, it's going to be a terrible day. And then all of a sudden your reticular activation system, your RAS system in your brain will sit there and say, okay, it's going to be a terrible day. Wow, I just stubbed my toe. It's a terrible day. Wow, there's a lot of traffic. It's a terrible day. Wow, my boss is in a shitty mood today. Wow, 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 wow. The end of the day, see, it was a terrible day. I was right.
Now,
But then, we shift our perspective, we sit there and say, okay, I give the people this challenge. So I love that. So I tell people, like, wherever you're at right now, look around your room and look, or whatever you're at, and look for everything that's red. So like red, red, red. And I'm actually pointing to things that red, 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 red. Okay, Chris, I've got everything that's red. All right. Tell me what was pink. Tell me what was green. But Chris, you were telling me to look for what's red. I was looking for what's red. The same principle which you're talking about, Clarence, is the fact is whatever we look at, whatever our intention is to set, whatever belief that we have in our brain, we will find that. But what you're asking people to do and challenging people to do, which I love, is to shift that perspective, shift what you're focusing on, because that's going to change your physiology. That's going to change your reaction and your belief about yourself. And over time, you will start to find that sense of self-love. Is that what you're trying to say?
eventually, yes, but it starts off again. There's 5 steps. That's just the first step. Now, again, if you don't acknowledge yourself, but you want other people to acknowledge you, that's kind of unfair, because you haven't taken the time out to see how valuable you are. You haven't done that for yourself, but you want other people be like, oh, praise me, praise me. Well, did you praise yourself?
Uh-huh.
A lot of people want self gratification, or they want gratification. They want instant gratification. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. Instant gratification. Okay. Here's a perfect instant gratification. Hi, Clarence. You are phenomenal. Yes, you are. I'm not boasting. I'm not bragging. I'm self-affirmating, because before I expect anybody else to call me phenomenal, I have to wake up and call myself phenomenal.
It's true.
I have to do it first. I have to believe wholeheartedly. Now, the thing about phenomenal, that's all that is just a mindset. That is my alternative of beating what I deal with. Because if I didn't do that, I know where it leads. You know, that dark road, that lonely road, that road that is waiting for me to grab on and just take that lonely trip, right? Where I can isolate from everybody, disappear from everybody, and then next thing you know, you're hearing, or you're having this conversation over my casket. It's easy for us to do that, but what's hard? Opening up to people about what has taken place. Opening up to people and letting them know, because your story could save someone else's life.
So true. So true. I want to grab a couple of these comments. I want to just thank everybody for being here tonight. We got Gabe in the house. Thank you so much. Gabe says here, what a great mindset, Christopher Rausch. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. And we got Ted Legal in the house, says, hey, everyone, go out and get what you want in life. 100%. Ted also says here, he goes, I am living proof of the statement that we aren't promised tomorrow. I had a massive heart attack in February and almost died. I know Ted personally, and he is so true in that. Ray Kosha, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, says horrible at it. So making light of what I was saying about before about my suicide, and I sucked at it. Ted says your worst days are your best days. So true. Ted also shares here. It says, I can relate. I'm a disabled individual. As a teenager, I was addicted to alcohol. And on my 16th birthday, I got drunk and tried killing myself. I was going to slip my wrist. My brother took the slice on his thumb instead, and he found me trying. He saved my life. No matter how hard it gets, life is worth living. 100%. Ted also says your great topic, Chris, and says so true. So thank you, Ted, for being here. Thank you guys all for being here. I want to talk about a little bit more, because I love what you're talking about here, but so often people struggle with discipline, and they tell themselves the wrong thing. They tell themselves that they're weak. They tell themselves that they're not worthy. They tell themselves they're not good enough. What recommendations, what advice, given the fact of what you've been through in your life and the fact that you've written and published 9 books, what are some strategies that you could give to people to have greater sense of discipline and ownership and self-love in their life?
Honestly, this is something that I'm still working on daily. Why? Because you have to find value in yourself. It can be the littlest thing that you provide to someone else. And that little thing is, my brother told me this when I was having an episode and I was feeling suicidal. He said, your life has to matter to at least one person. And if you can't find someone that it matters to, trust me, your life matters to someone.
Oh, 100%.
And that stuck with me. But find your happiness. Find your moment. I love writing. Now, the thing about me writing is they told me that I would never be able to write. I was diagnosed with so many mental disorders. They said I would never be able to write. They said I would never be able to learn how to do math. So people counted me out. And my coach tells me, for anybody who's ever counted you out, just tell them, look them dead in their eyes and say, you don't know how to count. That's it. You counted me out, but you don't know how to count. But every day you have to appreciate what you have, strive for something better. But the best part about the day, and any day that you get to wake up, you get a chance to be the better version of yourself. So every day, strive to be better. If you're struggling with making your bed, if you're struggling with having conversations with people, start small. Wake up one morning, just make your bed. That was a big accomplishment. You were able to make your bed. A lot of people don't look at that as being as accomplishment. Then also be careful what you speak. Your words have power.
They do.
Either you're going to speak positively, or you're going to speak negatively. Either way, you are right. Because I can tell you, Chris, man, you're a phenomenal dude. I appreciate your energy. I love what you do. Keep on going. And then you go back into the mirror and you're like, you're never going to be anything. You're stupid. You're dumb. Well, all the positivity that I just poured into you means absolutely nothing, because what you tell yourself, you're going to believe way more than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to believe either you're going to fail or you're going to succeed. Either way it goes, you're 100% right.
So how do they shift that moment? How do they shift that? I mean, is that something that they start? I tell people to eliminate 3 words from their vocabulary: always, never, and try. Because people tend to generalize and say, I always screw up, or I'll never find the right person. Or they'll say, I'll try to get up in the morning and work out. I'll try to be better, or I'll try to. And it's like, it's bullshit. It's like, just commit to doing it. Just wake up and say, you know what? I'm fucking done being the person that I was. I choose to lift myself up. I choose to speak to myself in better ways. That's what I teach people how to do, is exactly to your point, is like, how can you walk up to the mirror, say, I love myself. I have respect for myself. I'm a work in process, and I'm a gift to other people in my life, because so oftentimes we're telling ourselves those wrong things, and that perpetuates that validation in our mind that we're not worthy. But I sit there and I found this out. I found this out, Clarence. During COVID, I gifted people with coaching sessions, just my way of giving back, because people were sitting at home and their mental health was struggling. And so I said, anybody who needs a coaching session, I will give it to you for free. I won't try to sell you on anything. If they become a coaching client, great. But I probably did over 100 coaching sessions. I got a couple of clients out of it. But what I started seeing is this pattern. And I heard this little voice in my head, and I listened to the whisper, whether it's God, source, universe, whatever it might be, my conscience. I listened to the whisper. I've learned that is a great tool in my life. And I heard this little whisper that says, ask him this question. And in my brain, as I'm having this dialogue, talking to them just like I'm talking with you, I was like, that's fucking stupid. That's ridiculous. I'm not asking that question. But again, it kept ringing in my ears. Just ask them the question, ask them the question. So I did this. I said, okay, Clarence, I'm going to ask you a question. And I don't want you to think too hard about it, but yes or no question. Do you love yourself? And I thought, as I said the words, that these people were going to look at me and go, you call yourself a fucking coach? Really? Do I love myself? Of course I love myself. I mean, I like myself, but I love myself. And 75%, I'm not great at numbers. I didn't like tally up a spreadsheet, but a majority of people who were struggling was stopped and went,
No.
yeah, I think so. I think for the most part, a few people said, well, of course I love myself. And I could tell those people were just in a moment, but a majority of the people struggled just to love themselves. And I said, but yet you're expecting, like you said before, which was so pronounced. You said before, but we're expecting other people to validate us. We're expecting other people to want to be with us and be our spouses or hire us or whatever it might be. But yet we don't have that own belief system within ourselves. And so that's the hypocrisy within ourselves, like you're saying, is to be able to change that language. So talk to us about what Clarence is doing for Clarence. Like, how are you getting through these moments? What are some recommendations that you have for people? Obviously, you've talked about having a coach. You've said it a few times through this conversation. I believe massively, like you're like the 5 people you're around the most. And that's like including your family. So the 5 people you're around the most, those people don't sit there and say, yeah, Clarence, yeah, Chris, go get it. Go write that book. Go quit your job. Go do the... If those people are like, oh, that's stupid, you shouldn't do that, you should play it safe, those 5 people need to be placed elsewhere. And we need to have those people. Like, I have mentors in my life. I could call Jock. I can call my coach Sally. I could call Scott. I can call Walt. I can call Lee. I could call Mary. I could call these people and say, hey, and I could be honest with them and say, hey, listen, right now, I'm not feeling so great. I feel like I've been going and going and going and going. I'm not seeing the results. And those people will sit there and they'll call me on my shit. They're like, okay, Chris, what is it that you teach and preach? Blah, 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 blah. They'll call me on my shit, but they'll also reinforce those things. So what is it for you that gets you through these moments to find that why for yourself? You know, you talked about writing, but what are some other things that people can do in their life right now as they listen to this?
So one of the biggest things is, like you just said, is changing your environment. Changing your environment. Now, there are times when we're unable to change our environment, but you can still change your environment.
Yeah.
You can still change your environment mentally. So a lot of people don't know. I used to gangbang, right? And I remember I had a conversation with my brother, and I told him, I said, bro, my big homie said, well, I could put you on the hood. He was like, nah, I'm okay. Wait, time out. You hang out with us all the time. You're around us all the time. You're with us. You know this lifestyle. I got you, bro. You can join the hood. Nah, I'm okay. Now, the part that blew me out of the water was the fact that he said no. It was like, wait, you can say no to these things? Like, I didn't know that was an option.
Right.
And he literally said no, but his reason is, I'm not that type of guy. I'm even though I hang around you guys and I see the lifestyle, I'm not. That's not my lifestyle.
Right.
I only go to these events. I only do these things because you're my brother. I'm here to support you, but that's not me. And right then, that really opened up my eyes for a lot of things, because just because you have the negative person around you, just because you have the negative things that's going on, doesn't mean you have to feed into it. You don't have. And he changed, even though he couldn't change his environment, like the people he was around. He changed his environment by like saying, yeah, that's not for me. So whatever it is that people are struggling with, change, first off, how you see yourself. 2, change the words you speak to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
3, if you can't change your people, change your people. And that one right there is going to take a while for people for it to sink in. Again, you just mentioned about the people that are telling you, oh yeah, it's okay to settle, it's okay to do this, it's okay to do that.
Play it safe. I hate that one. Fuck that.
Push them to the side. Now you said a word, and whenever anybody, and I'm working on this word. This word, I get on everybody's head about don't come to me, don't talk to me, don't say this word in my face, because I cringe. And it's T. There's a T somewhere in there. There's an R, maybe a Y somewhere, maybe at the end, and they like to throw ing right somewhere. I'm not gonna say it, but
that's one of the words I just said.
Exactly.
One
and
of the three.
I cringed. My wife was sitting there and she's like, she pointed. Yeah, I really do dislike this word, and the fact that it was put in us as a kid. When people tell me this word, oh, I'm gonna try to do something, it doesn't exist. I'm like, well, what do you mean it doesn't exist? Try to breathe. Wait, no, you're just gonna. I don't. What exactly? If I said try and throw your iPhone 15 across the room, the first thought people thought is, no, I can't do that. I didn't say throw it across the room. I said try. But it's amazing how the brain doesn't even accept that word, and yet it plays it in our mind as if it was a command. If I said throw your phone, that's a command. I'm giving you a command. But try to throw your phone. Your brain is like, well, and no, I'm not going to do that. I didn't tell you to. But your brain heard me say, throw it, not to throw it. So eliminate that word, eliminate that word, eliminate that word. And again, just that's one of the things that we can practice on when it comes to loving ourselves. But the biggest thing is you have to acknowledge yourself. You have to appreciate the moment. Before we end, I have something that I would like to do. So a lot of people don't know this, but I went and auditioned on America's Got Talent. I
saw that.
I watched it. I didn't make it to get on stage in front of the judges, but I did audition. Now the thing that the part that I auditioned, there's 3 parts to what I did. And because I was going on national television and I was going to be in front of children, in front of people, I did the clean version.
Okay.
This is raw and unscripted. Is that correct?
You can say it how it is, brother. You can say it how it is. I welcome that. So
this right here, this is a big part of my transformation. In 2021, my stepdaughter told me a story about how my suicide attempts was making her feel. And she was the only person at the point in time that really came to me with a caring heart, that really made me understand, hey, I need to change. And from that conversation that I had, that's how Mr. Phenomenal came about. Okay. Prior to that, in 2006, no, back before 2006, 2005, I was trying to get a DNA test for my daughter. And my baby mama, for whatever reason, she would not give me a DNA test. And she called me one day and said, hey, I want you to come to the house. She ended up showing me an ultrasound. Hey, this is our beautiful baby. The next day, everything changed. It was like, I don't know who she became. She was like, this baby's not yours. Leave me the hell alone. This, that, and the third.
Whoa.
So me and one of my brothers, we were on our way to go deliver gifts because it was right around Christmas time. And I told my brother, I said, hey, I need you to do me a favor, because where I'm at right now, I'm about ready to just go and hurt everybody. I said, I need you to give me a scenario to rap about so that I can, I can change my mindset.
Right.
Said, all right, well, you know how all 4 of us are really close together? Imagine one of us getting shot and then something changing, and then we end up separating. Okay, so I rapped about it. And what I rapped about, I really liked, and I wrote it down. The next day, the next month, everything that I talked about happened.
Whoa.
So I'm a big firm believer of being careful what you speak,
Mm-hmm.
because it can be good or it can be bad. Be
Amen.
careful what you speak and be careful what you believe. Now, I know we're getting close to the end, so I'm gonna do this. Now remember, I wrote this. So there's three parts. I wrote it in 2006. Then I wrote it again in 2015, and then I wrote it again in 2021. My brother just got hit. Last thought that passed his mind is, what the fuck I do to deserve this shit? Life is leaving his body fast. You can tell because he's like, fuck the world. Bitches, kiss my ass. But yet again, he's asking the Lord, forgive him of his sins. Because when his life ends, another life will begin. As I sit here and hold my brother tight, last thing I remember is the last time we damaged the mic. It was like two grown ass men in a fist fight. Now I stare into my brother's eyes. If he happens to go to hell with a whole no surprise. But I wish I knew what he had to say. But it's too late because I'm creeping up on this nigga like he was my prey. Pulled the 4-5 out and made his walls turn gray. Now I see what I have to do. He was trying to tell me all the bullshit that I was going to go through. I wish I didn't have to watch my little brother shiver and shake. I would rather come home and have the devil fixing me a hot plate. See, people ask me why I think of so much evil. Because I'm ready to die and meet my equal. Respect me willingly, I'm going to take it by force. Disrespect my name and I implant your face in the porch. Stomp your body into the pavement. Take your soul to hell and tell the devil this is my pavement. See, me, I put a fear in death without a surprise. Because if I didn't do that, my black ass wouldn't be alive. But even with that said, I can still die at any moment. So I jack my dick off and tell your bitch to jump up on it. And if you got a problem with that, then I split your wig, hit you 1,000 times worse than they did Billy the Kid. See, my mind is unstable. I can't handle this shit. So I kill myself just to get it over with quick. Come back from the dead with the devil's head on my shoulders. Kill you faster than the Americans did the Iraqi soldiers. Cut off your head and use it for show. I kill you so fast that God won't know. See, this ain't payback. This is revenge from my bro. Because when y'all niggas killed him, y'all niggas just don't know. Y'all unleashed a demon and my heart got torn. Now I know what Jesus Christ felt like when he received the crown of thorns. Father, forgive me for living in sin. Your son was tempted by the devil, but he didn't give in. While I love to lust, but hate the devil within. So I have a question that I need to ask. If I were to die today, would you remember my past? Or would it be the day that I try to change your point of view? When you said love hurts, and I said that couldn't be true, why would God tell us to love our enemies if that's what love is going to do? It's easy to love those that love you back, but what about those that are constantly on the attack? The ones that hurt you and take away your peace of mind. The ones that say they love you, but it was just another lie. How can I love someone that only brings me pain? Through the blood of Jesus Christ and the power of his name. But just because I love you doesn't mean our relationship is going to be the same. Because I would rather love you from a distance than have my love be in vain. So why should I love someone whose love is only an act? Because love is what you give out and usually not what you get back. That's the truth. Now here are the facts. Not everyone you love is going to love you back. Father, forgive me for the things that I do. For I've done my fair share of hurting love too. When I fell into lust and blamed my heartache on you, I guess you could say my love just wasn't true. Don't act like you love me and tell me that you care. Then turn around and attempt suicide because love isn't there. How dare you expect me to give you this thing called trust when you fail to love yourself, but loving yourself is a must. You don't practice what you preach, and I just want to know why. You tell other people to love themselves while you continue to do suicide. One day we will look back at this and perhaps we might laugh. But until that day comes, you have to change the cycle in which you've never had. This is a message that I received from my daughter in so many words or less. Now it's time for me to step up to the plate and pass my test. So influence the brain to take away the pain of someone else. Don't think of yourself of only needing help, but truly think of someone else. Break the cycle by practicing what you preach. Because the lesson of love is great, But if you yourself don't love, then what is the lesson that you preach?
Wow. Fuck, dude. That was off the hook. Off the hook. We got Johanna in the house, a dear friend of mine. She's just like, whoa. Damn, dude. That was tight. That was tight. Is that what you said? That you did a clean version on America's Got Talent with that?
I did the clean version. So the first half of what I just did, because there's a lot of cussing, it's derogatory, I took that part out and I just recited the second verse, the second and third poem about it.
Damn, dude, that was super tight. Where can, I mean, this has been a phenomenal conversation, Mr. Phenomenal. Where can people get a hold of you? Where can people learn more about you? I mean, I could sit here and talk to you for another fucking 5 hours. We talked last night for an hour. Where can people get a hold of you? Where can people get a hold of you and learn more about Clarence and all your books and everything else?
So when it comes to my books, unfortunately, my first 6 books, I did a bad publishing deal with, we're not going to get into that, but so my first 6 you cannot find. You might see them on Amazon, but unfortunately they can't be purchased. The last 3 I actually self-published, so it's on Amazon. I don't remember if it's under Mr. Phenomenal or if it's under Clarence Bowser, aka Mr. Phenomenal, Clarence Bowser, aka Tutu. You could also find me on Facebook, Clarence Baylock Bowser Jr. I'm on IG, which is I am _ phenomenal 23. And then I don't have a Twitter. I don't have a Snapchat. And
you're on YouTube. You got your stuff on YouTube?
I am on YouTube. Again, that I don't know if you could just look up Clarence Bowser for YouTube. So those are the main areas where you can find me. But if you really want to have a conversation with me, reach out to me, 951-453-1517. I do a lot of things here in my community. I'm a independent insurance agent. So if you know anybody that needs to have the conversation about life insurance and the importance of it, please don't hesitate to have this conversation. If I can't earn your business, I will at least show you what's out there in the industry so you can have a better understanding. Again, I'm a big advocate of my community. I am a big suicide prevention advocate. So if you have any questions on how to help with suicide, if you're feeling somebody is feeling suicidal, what steps to take, please, again, don't hesitate to reach out. And I want to leave everybody with this final question. And this is what all 9 of my books are based on. And that question is it possible to be hurt by love? So all 9 books revolve around that one question. And if anybody is up for the debate, please, let's I'm all for it. But that's my time, and I appreciate you, Chris. I really do appreciate it.
Dude, I'm gonna extend the offer back to you. You have my number because we've been texting back and forth. I'm there for you if you ever need somebody to talk to. So that's how we support one another. So I mean that. So you got my number. If you're ever in a situation where you're feeling, down or whatever, or you want to share some good news, feel free to reach out to me also. I know this conversation is going to impact thousands upon thousands of lives. Thank you, my brother, for being here. It is such an honor and a pleasure to have you come across my life in person, and to be able to meet you and have this amazing conversation with you. So I know there's more to come, what we can do in the community and what we could do with inner city kids and whatnot. So I'm going to place you backstage here for a second. I'm going to close out the show, but don't go anywhere so I can still talk to you for a second.
Sounds good.
All right, my man. That is a wrap on this show. Darlene Eaton is the house. She's giving us emojis that she approves and she appreciates this conversation. And just thank you guys for being here. We got Johanna in the house. What you can do from this conversation, again, like I said at the beginning of the conversation, if you came in halfway through the conversation, why do I keep saying conversation? If you came in halfway through, go back and watch the beginning. Because at the beginning, I challenged you guys, and Clarence challenged you as well. 3 strategies from this conversation. Fuck, I said it again. Don't play a drinking game to conversation in this show. But 3 strategies that you can implement, that you will implement. You're not going to try anymore, right? You're going to implement these things over the next 7 days. It is possible. It is completely doable. 3 strategies. If you guys have been following the show for any length of time, you guys know I'm a fan of these things. Not technology. I'm a fan of sticky notes. Sticky notes. What you do is you take the 3 strategies, you take one of these things, you write down the strategy, and then you stick it on your monitor, because we're all in front of computer monitors. Or you also put it on your dashboard of your car. We drive cars. So you take the 3 strategies, you put them on the sticky notes, and then what you do every single day is you say, hey, and I've got 3 sticky notes on my computer monitor as I speak. I got one right there. You trust me. I've got 3 sticky notes because I know it works. So over a course of time, every single week, you show back up here to another episode of the Raw Unscripted show, or you go back and listen to any number of 285 shows I've done already. 285 shows times 3 strategies. Don't give me any excuses why you're not happy. Don't give me any excuses why you're not successful. Go back and watch the shows. Listen to the shows. We're on all the podcast platforms. Take me with you. I've had phenomenal, to use Mr. Phenomenal's word, phenomenal guests, just like the one you just heard. Or I've done solo shows. You take those 3 strategies, and most importantly, you start talking better to yourself. You eliminate the word always, never, and try. You talk to yourself, like Clarence said. Say hi to yourself. Say hi to your reflection. I say hi to everybody, nearly almost everybody that I come in contact with. I'm walking through the grocery store. Hi, how you doing? Because we all have that opportunity. We're all made, depending on what you believe in God's image. Whether you're black, white, straight, gay, Republican, Democrat, whatever label you want to put on it, you split us down the middle, guess what? We're all the same. I donate blood every 8 weeks. I'm type A negative. Within 4 or 5 days of me donating blood, I get a message from the place I donate to, and they say your blood was used, usually at Hemet Valley Regional Hospital. Clarence, you might know where that's at because we're both in Southern California. But it makes me feel so good to know that my blood that my body produces can go help save somebody's life. We are more the same than we are different, especially in this time right now. We've got here in the United States, we got the political election coming up here in less than a couple of weeks, I believe. And there's so much divisiveness as perpetuated on the news. I don't really believe that's a fact. I think there's maybe 5% of the population out there that are keyboard warriors and trying to, say shit to split us up. But I firmly believe, because I got brothers and sisters all over the world, all different religious faiths, all different sexualities, all different, whatever it is that you want to generalize them by, that are beautiful people that are out there helping their communities, that are out there showing that love is the way, not fear, not hate, not dividedness. That's all bullshit. Let's stop watching the news. Let's start treating the people in our community with a little bit more dignity and respect. Help our homeless situation. Help our mental health advocates. Go out there and take your special gift and make a difference in this world, whether it's singing, whether it's art, whatever it might be, writing. Go take your gift and make someone else's life a little bit better, because people are hurting and people are struggling. Like we talked about in this conversation tonight, you don't know what embarrassment and what shame and what guilt and whatever other things that people are dealing with. They may put on a brave face, but like Clarence so poignantly said, ask why. Why are you feeling that way? What can I do? What can I do to make a difference in your life? And ladies and gentlemen, most of the time, just listening, not listening with the intent to change that person, but listening and asking more deep. Tell me more about that. How did you come to feel that way? What are some things maybe that you might look at a little bit differently? But really seek first to understand, then to be understood. And together, the love that we can show ourselves can start to bleed out in the rest of the world. And we can make this world what we deserve it to be. I have an 8-year-old son. We need to make this world a much, much better place. I'm scared of where the world's going. Sometimes we have to go through hell to get to heaven. But together with our social media posts, with our interactions with our families, but mostly like we talked about tonight, our interactions with ourselves. Would you speak to your best friend the way you speak to yourself? Would you speak to your child the way you speak to yourself? Right? You think about that. I think about that in my life. What advice would I give Jackson if he was going through the same thing I'm going through right now? Would I condone the way I'm thinking for him? Would I say, yeah, think this way? Or would I say, you know what? Together we can make a difference. Together, let's take that imperfect action every single day. Let's surround ourselves with the beautiful people that we deserve in our life. Don't stay complacent. Don't stay mediocre. Don't stay in your excuses and your tolerations. Don't play the someday game, hoping, wishing, and praying that something changes. You, my friend, are the person that changes. When you look at yourself in the mirror today or tomorrow, say, hey, what can I do a little bit differently? Tell yourself that you love yourself, right? Mel Robbins wrote a great book out there that talks about high-fiving yourself in the mirror. Like, that's what I loved about Clarence talking about our reflection. See the beauty in life. See the opportunity in life. And for God's sakes, if you're struggling, reach out to a professional. Reach out to somebody that that you can trust. I have sought out professional help in my life. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm proud to admit it, because in those moments, I've been asked questions that have helped me switch the perspective I have on my life. Right? It's not always easy. But when you look back on your life, when have you grown the most? When things were easy or when things were challenging? You may be going through a challenging experience right now, and this is your opportunity to grow. This is your opportunity to look forward in 2 years and go, wow, 2 years ago, I went through some shit, but I'm so glad that I made that tough decision to leave that partner that I knew I wasn't in love with anymore, to change my career and to go after my dreams. Whatever it might be that you're going through right now, see yourself in a couple of years looking back on this and going, wow, I went through some shit, but I'm so proud of myself that I didn't stay in that spot. You can make those choices. You can make those decisions. So I love and appreciate everybody who's been watching tonight and listening tonight, all the new fans of the show. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. CT says here, so true. Amen. Ted says here, are you posting a replay? I always post a replay. It always is always there. You guys can go to rawandunscripted.com. Johanna, my beautiful sister from another mister. It's time for us to catch up. It's been a minute. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for love is. Darlene says your sticky notes all throughout the house. Need to add a few in the car. Right. Because we're sitting there looking at our dashboard. I know for me, it's having compassion for other drivers, because sometimes I sit there and go, what are you, fucking moron? Like, how do you drive like that? But then I sat there and I have compassion for others. I don't know what that person's going through. I don't know if they're working 3 jobs and they're trying to make ends meet and they just have to cut me off because they're going to their 3rd job and they're afraid of getting fired. I don't know. So I remind myself to have that compassion. When I get in the car and I see that note, it reminds me, like, Chris, don't have the expectation that everybody's going to use their turn signal. Chris, don't have the expectation that everybody's going to have compassion. But when I do note that sticky note, and I notice all the other people that are actually using their turn signals, I notice all the other people that are driving right. And I don't focus on those things that are negative in my life. So that's what we can do. I love and appreciate you guys. Go out there, be the best version of yourself you possibly can. Connect with Clarence. The links to connect with him, like we talked about on the show, are in the show notes. So whether you're listening to us on the podcast, you can go find his YouTube channel, you can find his Facebook, and then go check out his books on Amazon and connect with him. He's a brilliant soul, and he's a person that's out there making a difference in the world. And I only surround myself with the best. So I will see you here next week, next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're always live. Again, rawandunscripted.com. Go be beautiful. Let me know what I can do to support you in your life. And let's be the change we bitch about. All right.